The New Orleans Pelicans' trade for Derik Queen during the 2025 NBA Draft is bound to be remembered as one of the defining deals of its era. At best, it was incredibly bold, at worst, completely reckless. While not exactly Luka Doncic for Anthony Davis level bad, the Pelicans' decision to trade their unprotected 2026 first-round pick for the right to draft Queen was littered with poor process. Dumars and Troy Weaver were hired to lead the Pelicans' front office in April, and by June they had mortgaged the team's future for a big bet on Queen. The Pelicans traded multiple premium picks in a loaded 2026 draft to take Queen at 13th overall, starting with a rare deal made during the finals itself with an active finals participant. The Indiana Pacers were down 3-2 in the finals when they swung a trade with New Orleans to get their 2026 first-round pick back. Indiana had originally traded its unprotected first-rounder to Toronto for Pascal Siakam, and Toronto flipped it to New Orleans for Brandon Ingram. The Pelicans sent their 23rd overall pick in 2025 to get Indiana's own 2026 unprotected first-rounder back. The Pelicans rightfully thought the Pacers were set up to be very good again in 2025 to 2026, but Tyrese Halliburton's calf strain suffered the day before the trade changed everything. Halliburton tore his Achilles during Game 7 a few days later, and the Pacers now had the option of tanking, which is exactly what happened. For New Orleans, the deal was always about moving up to acquire another lottery pick. After taking Oklahoma point guard Jeremiah Fears with their own pick at 7th overall, the Pelicans reportedly offered their unprotected first-rounder to every team behind them until they got a taker. The Atlanta Hawks accepted at 13th overall, receiving the Pelicans' unprotected 2026 first-round pick plus the 23rd overall pick used to select Asa Newell. Dumars indicated after the draft that the same trade was offered to the Raptors, Suns, Trailblazers, and Bulls before Atlanta took it. Weaver has a long history of targeting players from the DMV area, so it was no surprise he loved a Baltimore native and Maryland standout like Queen. Queen has spent the early part of his rookie year rewarding Weaver's faith, looking like an awesome foundational piece for New Orleans to build around for years. The only problem is that the assets the Pelicans gave up continued to look juicier by the day. The Pelicans are currently the second worst team in the NBA with a 6-22 record. The Pacers are currently the fifth worst team with a 6-21 record. New Orleans could have had Fears with two major bites at the apple to land in the top 3 of the 2026 draft with Darren Peterson, Cameron Boozer, and A.J. Dybinsa waiting at the top. The exact assets surrendered won't be determined until lottery night, but it looks like New Orleans' own pick will have a maximum 14% chance of landing at number 1 overall, and the Pacers' pick won't be far behind. The process behind this trade was always an abomination, but there's still a chance it could work out in New Orleans' favor. The Pelicans should have offered their unprotected 2027 pick instead. The top 3 of the 2026 draft was always considered special well before this college basketball season started. NBA teams knew for at least 2 years that Peterson, Boozer, and Dybinsa all had the talent to be the top overall pick. If the Pelicans had to have Queen, offering their unprotected 2027 pick would have been smarter. Sharp draft scouts have long known the 2027 class is looking pretty weak so far. The Pelicans need to hope their pick doesn't land in the top 3 to feel any relief about this trade.